Alors, bonsoir. Hello. Vous m'entendez bien? Bonjour, bonjour. Permettez-moi de me présenter. Mon nom est Andrew McNally. Je suis doyen mode au Collège La Salle. Dans le cadre des festivités entourant les 65 ans de l'institution, on a organisé un grand défilé sur la scène principale du festival MAD. Et puis, deux des designers célébrités qui ont défilé étaient Matières Fécales. Et ils ont gentiment accepté de venir relater leur histoire, raconter leur parcours et surtout où est-ce qu'ils s'en vont. Et en guise d'inspiration pour vous, parce que je pense qu'ils sont un peu hors marge et ça peut inspirer des gens à à tracer leur propre voie. Donc, l'entretien sera animé par Stéphane Leduc, journaliste mode et ambassadeur du Collège La Salle. Et donc, j'inviterai Anna et Steven à se joindre à nous. Et puis, après l'entretien, vous pourrez poser toutes les questions que vous souhaitez. Il y aura 2 micros. Et n'oubliez pas les fameuses photos Instagram sur le merveilleux petit mur dans le fond. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the conference. Take down all of your questions. They are the sweetest, nicest people. And they are here to answer your questions. Hannah said, I want to motivate and inspire them. Okay? So we're good? Round of applause. Matières Fécales.
Merci, Andrew. Et encore bravo, Andrew, pour le 65e anniversaire, cette soirée formidable au MAD Festival. On peut applaudir parce que c'était une soirée tout à fait incroyable qu'on a eue. J'espère que plusieurs d'entre vous étaient présents, en ont profité pour être inspirés, et ils faisaient partie de cette soirée. C'était des invités merveilleux, et c'était beau de les voir sur la scène. How does it feel when you... L'entrevue sera bilingue, on va alterner anglais-français, on ne va pas toujours traduire, ça va se faire naturellement, j'ai l'impression. Et surtout qu'ils vivent à Paris, donc ils parlent français, j'imagine, très souvent là-bas aussi. Et je me disais, quelle est la sensation que vous avez quand vous revenez ici au collège, de vous retrouver dans les murs? Vous avez passé sûrement beaucoup d'heures à travailler. Quel sentiment vous avez?
I mean, it's a bit overwhelming in a way because this is where we met each other and this is where we developed our craft and was able to experiment and kind of, you know, I shaved my head on the 6th floor with Milan. So, you know, there's a lot that our roots are here, so it's special.
Yeah, I mean, we fell in love here. We became best friends here. This is where Matières Fécales was born. This is where we decided to create everything we're doing today. So there's a lot of emotions, but I think there's a lot of pride coming back here today.
Et Montréal, ça vous fait chaud au cœur quand vous revenez ici également? La ville elle-même, l'ambiance de Montréal, ça fait étrange?
C'est aussi des émotions mixtes parce que des fois, ça fait quelques années qu'on n'habite pas à Montréal. Donc, avant ça, c'était vraiment difficile pour nous parce que être des designers individuels et tout ça ici, c'est vraiment difficile parce qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup de support. Donc, pour nous, quand on vient ici, des fois, on est peut-être un petit peu fâchés parce que on est parti parce qu'on n'avait pas de support. Mais en même temps, maintenant qu'on vient, c'est aussi beaucoup de l'amour parce qu'on a tellement de gens qui nous ont aidés durant notre procès de devenir qui on est aujourd'hui. Donc, c'est des émotions mixtes. It's like love and hate.
Well, we're glad that you're back and back for the 65th anniversary and share with us all those memories as well. We have a picture of you as students. And it's so great that you aren't they cute? So young, so innocent. No, it's great. Thank you for the picture. I'm sure there are many memories also. There's so much time also, and it's the time where you decide what you're going to become also. I suppose that happened when you were here as well.
I think also it's like, I think both of us always knew what we wanted to do, but it's having the courage to do it. That's a different thing. So I think here you can see people that don't have the courage or are trying to find the courage. And really within each other, we found that courage. So yeah, definitely the courage is a big part of it.
Ce qui est amusant aussi ou intéressant de savoir, c'est que vous étiez deux personnes très différentes l'une de l'autre et que rien n'allait réunir d'une certaine façon. Toi, l'étudiante un peu sage, qui faisait bien ses travaux, et lui, un petit peu plus rebelle, si je comprends bien, je ne me trompe pas.
Oui, parce que pour moi, c'était, it was like, I guess I was really cocky, and I was really kind of full of myself, and I guess I didn't take it seriously, but seeing Hannah and how dedicated she was, it kind of was the balance that I needed to be more organized. But we definitely didn't like each other in the beginning.
No, but you know what's interesting, just being here reminds me of when we actually really first met, which was, so you dropped out, so you're a bit older than me, but when I was in my first draping class, I was making my final draping skirt, whatever, and I was making a skirt that was half a cage, and on the other half of the skirt was quite loose and flue and whatever, and then when I was giving in that project, the older class had all of their dresses, their final projects on the mannequins. And I saw, out of all of them, one dress really stood out. And that one, too, surprisingly, was half kind of like a slutty stripper dress and half very avant-garde. And it was quite funny because both of us, well, I didn't know it was you at the time, but these two garments, we both had this kind of same vision. 3 years later, when we did happen to be in the same class, and I was obviously helping Stephen clean out a very messy locker, this stripper, half avant-garde dress came falling out in like a bundle, and I was like, oh my God, this dress, this spoke to me, and I didn't even know it was from you. That's so crazy. So I feel, I don't know, as humans, maybe back then here we look so how could they even be friends or have a conversation, but our minds as people were the same.
Oui. Yeah. Et dans le travail, en fait, c'est la création qui vous a réuni, ce qui se passait dans votre tête, et c'est ça que tu racontes qui est vraiment étonnant. Et aussi, peut-être, Steven, tu as aidé Anna à aller plus loin, à oser plus, à montrer justement ce qu'elle pouvait cacher également.
Oui, définitivement. Quand j'ai rencontré Anna, elle était vraiment comme a librarian. Well, she was vraiment timide, vraiment. You were just scared, and I felt the fear inside of her. The fear to be yourself, the fear to express yourself, and you were just obeying everything. So Hannah was the type of student that if there was a deadline for a project, she would give it 1 week before the deadline. And the whole class would eye roll and be like, okay, this girl is too much. But at the same time, looking back at it, I think you were just so scared to disappoint the teachers. You were so scared to fail. You were so scared to make a mistake that you were so perfect. But obviously with my chaos, I think that I introduced kind of a side of you that you maybe never got to express because nobody really thought that was in you, or nobody really maybe even gave you the opportunity to release that. And I think that's when you grew into kind of the fearless, powerful woman that you are today. But at the time, it was I don't know, I feel like you just didn't know it existed inside of you. And we both gave each other that power to embrace our inner selves.
L'idée de créer la marque est arrivée très très tôt aussi dans votre vie. C'est une chose qui s'est faite presque spontanément quand vous êtes rencontrés.
I mean, really, who's in design? Okay, a predominant.
Wow,
so
the majority.
In your last year, you're going to have to do an exit exam situation where you have to kind of create your own vision of the clothes you want to produce, and you have to make it, blah, blah, blah.
But also to show the teacher what you've learned, and basically your skill, the technique. So it's a really individual project.
But me and Stephen were how can we do something where we can talk more together and be able to sit next to each other, because our pattern teacher wouldn't let us sit next to each other because we would talk too much. So we begged Francois Bousquet to have us do the exit exam together in hopes that we're going to work together in the future, blah blah blah. But it was kind of more
we wanted to work together at that time, but we didn't know how to articulate it. So that project was actually the first time that we were I love you, you love me, we love each other as designers, you get my vision, I get your vision, and let's do this together, and we can enjoy the process together and spend more time. So interestingly enough, that project, we took it very seriously. We were like, this is our moment. Like, we really took it very seriously because we were also in the same humanitarians class together. Humanities class together, and we were learning all about human nature and all of these really, really intellectual elements that we were discovering as young people, as you see. So in that moment was when we were like, how do we apply everything we're learning into design, into clothing? And that was really when we developed Matières Fécales. That's when we developed kind of the identity. That's when we developed also that we really wanted to work with kind of a more ethical structure in creating clothing to combat kind of, at that time in 2014 or 13, it was like the height of fast fashion. It was the height of like kind of everything was just like nobody really was deconstructing how clothing was made behind the scenes in the commercial realm. So at that moment we were like, how can we like do stuff about that? So you can explain the collection a little bit, the fusing.
So our exit exam was actually all made out of fusing, which is, the material that's in like your collar to make it more stiff. Mm-hmm. And because we were learning about human nature in our ethics class, which was about, human nature is what is a human when you take away religion, education, like what is a human? Are they good at heart or are we bad at heart? So we were looking at the insides of a human on kind of like a philosophical level, but on a design level, also taking the, the textile that is used in the inside of a garment. Anyways, but the pieces were beautiful.
Yeah. So we basically took all of these layers of fusing and glued them on top of each other, and then we pulled all the threads and created these very textured pieces. And then we took glue, which is a big part of fusing, and we made pieces out of glue. And we were really, really expressive. And we had an amazing time, and I think it was when we also realized our strengths, because for example, I can draw really well, and Hannah, you can articulate really well in terms of collage, and together that's when we combine kind of a lot of our strengths, and also your perspective as like a cisgendered woman, my perspective as like a non-binary person. That's when we were also playing with the body types that we were interested in. And I mean, I think a lot of you guys have to do marketing and all of that. And that was when we were looking at the clients and we were like, okay, who do we want to wear our pieces? Because that's part of the project. You have to do like a target clientele and all of that. And there was a moment when we were like, all of these people, like, we don't know these people, like Grimes, Daphne Guinness, Bjork, like all the people that we're inspired by, we don't know them. So we were like, who is actually going to wear these pieces that we know? So we looked in the mirror and we were like, we're going to do it, and we're just going to put it on our bodies. So that's also when we started using our bodies as kind of a canvas to express ourselves, but also to sell our ideas and promote the works that we were creating.
So everything really started here within these walls, like 100%.
C'est assez incroyable. Et tout a semblé se faire tellement naturellement aussi, c'est ce qui m'impressionne. Au moment de cette rencontre, la fusion, les idées. Est-ce que vous aviez des bonnes notes en terminant le cours? Ça a bien été avec la collection?
You had a better grade than I did, for sure.
Et ce qui est intéressant aussi dans votre démarche, c'est l'aspect. Et ce qui est intéressant aussi, c'est que vous êtes des gens, quand vous parlez, vous êtes très doux, très agréables, très souriants. Et en même temps, il y a une forme de révolte et de colère envers le système de la mode, même le nom, Matières Fécales. Et je suis allé du côté, je ne sais pas si vous avez fait des recherches du côté de Freud pour votre nom, Matières Fécales, parce qu'il a fait beaucoup d'écrits là-dessus. Et par rapport à ces mots, pour lui, Matières Fécales égale, et vous pourrez faire une levée de fonds avec ça, égale don, argent et cadeau. C'est les trois symboles, selon Freud, dans la psychanalyse, que représentent les mots matière fécale. Je ne sais pas si vous saviez, mais on pousse plus loin la recherche. Mais ce nom, vous l'avez trouvé en vous disant, on va montrer qu'il y a des choses qui doivent changer dans le milieu de la mode, déjà en démarrant notre entreprise. C'était le but?
Yeah, I mean, really, when we had to come up with the name... actually, because you were in the Telio competition, I don't know if that exists anymore, and it was going to be presented, your work, because you were a finalist at the Festival de Mode or whatever. they said, well, you have to have a name because we were actually going to use our exit exam, a part of what you were presenting. And you didn't want it to be Stephen and Hannah, like that just sounded weird. So we're like, okay, what should we call it and what represents what we're trying to say? And we both kind of looked at each other and said, you know, this industry is shit. It's not glamorous. It's a business. It's an awful place where you have zero representation. People are fake. You know, people exploit and use and you know, really don't care about the environment. So we were like, how can we say that but nicer? So we were like, okay, maybe it could be fecal matter because that's kind of the medical term for shit. And then we're like, how can we say it even nicer? And that's where we came up with saying it in French, Matières Fécales. So it really, it's funny and stuff, but it's like a genuine, as you said, like a revolt. Like it's really like a statement against what we feel.
Et aussi, je crois que durant cette période, on était vraiment fâchés. On était vraiment angry parce que dans ce moment, pour moi et ma famille, c'était quand j'ai commencé à transformer et personne ne m'acceptait. Donc, c'était une période où j'étais vraiment fâché contre le monde. Il y avait un moment où on commençait à s'habiller dans les rues, tout ça, et les gens, leur réaction était vraiment difficile. Donc, c'était un moment où je crois qu'on avait beaucoup de tension dans notre travail. Et c'était un moment où on voulait vraiment être genre révolte et c'est comme quelque chose de vraiment important. Mais c'est intéressant parce que en même temps, matière fécale, c'est quelque chose, c'est un mot qui est vraiment laid, c'est un mot qui est vraiment dégueulasse. Oui. Et tout le monde, ils ont peur quand tu le vois dans les rues par les chiens. C'est comme... Mais en même temps, c'est... Par exemple, qu'est-ce qu'on a créé, ce vêtement, on met tout notre sang, notre passion, notre temps dans chaque pièce qu'on fait. Et c'est vraiment juste de l'amour pour nous. Donc, en même temps, c'est la dualité de quelque chose qui est vraiment laid et dégueulasse, mais quelque chose qui est vraiment important et belle pour nous. Et c'est ça que je crois qui fonctionne pour nous, en fait. C'est le fait qu'on est toujours... en train de mélanger les deux ensemble.
Et c'est aussi la preuve que dans la laideur, il y a de la beauté aussi. Oui. Comme vous dites, dualité et dans l'intensité aussi, dans ce que vous faites.
I will add, the name hasn't been easy. You know, in that Telio competition, when we had to come up with the name, when we went to watch the show, they didn't put Matières Fécales. It was too much for Festival de Mode, like 10 years ago. They didn't put it. And we were really mad. We're like, it's not a joke. It's serious, you know? And the first time our clothes were in Vogue, they didn't credit it, you know?
Wow.
Givenchy cannot be next to Matières Fécales 10 years ago.
That's what they said.
That's what they told us. So, you know, it hasn't been easy with the name.
Je m'aperçois que vous n'avez jamais fait les choix faciles, en fait. Et ça, je vous admire pour ça. Et une chose que j'aime beaucoup chez vous, c'est votre perfectionnisme, dans le sens que la qualité dans la confection, dans la fabrication, vous êtes des grands techniciens aussi. Et on va le voir avec ces fameuses bottes qui ont marqué, je dirais, qui font presque partie de l'histoire de la mode déjà. Et ça, c'est fou d'avoir créé ces bottes qui sont le prolongement, une autre vision du corps humain, où là, le corps prend toute la place. Racontez-moi un peu l'histoire derrière ces fameuses bottes.
Pour les bottes, c'était en fait depuis que moi j'étais vraiment jeune, j'étais toujours intéressé par les extraterrestres et ça vient de l'idée que j'ai jamais senti que I belonged in the world I was living in. So growing up as a half Guyanese, Sri Lankan, queer, you know, individual with all these ideas, you know, in my very religious family, in my very religious background, I was also living in poverty and, you know, there was no sign of art, there was no sign of fashion, there was no sign of creativity. So I just didn't feel like I belonged in that space, and that's why I always clinged on to aliens, because I just always felt like an alien in my world. And so fast forward to, I think it was in 2016 when I really started using Photoshop as a way to express something that was surreal and not part of reality. So we would take photos of ourselves and then I would enhance these images, this is, you know, before kind of like AI and all that right now. Like it was, you know, just like enhancing them and telling a story through these images. And that's when I started morphing the body and kind of elongating it, distorting it. And I mean, you said it, like we have a really strong technique. So I made it look very realistic. And everybody on the internet was like, these are real. Like, these shoes.
People thought I had surgery.
People thought we had surgery. It went viral. Photos, this was before the shoes. And then it was when this silicone artist in LA, who her name is Sarah Sitkins, and she works in movies and like horror movies. And she basically wrote to us and she said, I can make these come to life. Wow. And then we were like, okay, let's do it. And basically we went to LA. It was, I think, a year-long process of creating the shoes and molding it and testing it. And
because it's one thing to make the mold. It's another thing that I have to walk in it. Or a client has to buy it and walk in. You know what I mean? Like, it's a different thing. That's something else.
Because, I mean, there's silicone sculptures and, you know, wax figures at museums and masks and all that. But wearable footwear in silicone and, you know,
with this type of design,
that's never been done before. And so it was a really long process. And then when we did it, I mean, that was we presented it in London. So we did a fashion show, and that was actually our only real-life fashion show I think that we've ever done, really. And we presented it, and to be honest, nobody really came. Like, it was, we tried to get every single press outlet, like Dazed and Confused, Vogue, all of them. No one came to the show because it was outside of the fashion schedule. But it was really when we posted it online. So that's when it went viral. That's when all those same media outlets that didn't want to come to our show, that's when they all started writing to us, wanting to cover it. And that's when all of those platforms started getting viral clicks because it went viral. And it was a moment where we also realized the power of social media, the power of being independent, the power of also doing things outside of the regular way of doing things in the fashion system.
Et donc, même si les réactions devaient être très partagées, assez extrêmes, j'imagine aussi, vous avez pris le pari de continuer dans cette voie. Et cette voie aussi, il y avait ce fameux sac, et il n'y a pas d'enfant dans la salle, mais le fameux Dick Bag, qui était exposé au Musée des Beaux-Arts de Montréal pour l'exposition Jean-Paul Gaultier. Oui. Et ça aussi, c'était un objet qui est allé chercher beaucoup de réactions et d'émotions. Vous vous disiez quoi en le faisant, ce fameux sac?
Pour nous, c'était, tu vois, pour nous, quand on a décidé d'utiliser des objets sexuels pour faire de la mode, c'était pas définitivement au niveau de l'intérêt du niveau sexuel de ces objets, c'était le niveau comme les bottes, how they're so real looking as human body parts. So we were just interested in taking human body parts and putting that in fashion. With the context of it being a dildo, obviously, like we knew that would, you know, create something, but in the sense of we were more interested in the body part than the actual use of it, if that makes any sense.
Oui.
But
Je
yeah. But I mean, it's pretty cool that, you know.
I mean, I was going to say, it is a little bit mutated. It's a double-sided dildo.
Yeah, it's a double-sided dildo also. So, yeah.
Et c'était l'expo Thierry Mugler, en fait. J'ai dit Gaultier, mais c'était Thierry Mugler.
Oui.
Et on remercie, en fait, Thierry-Maxime Loriot aussi, qui est le commissaire des grandes expos, l'expo photo, quelqu'un que vous connaissez bien, et qui a ce courage aussi. C'est quelqu'un qui va défendre la créativité et la création. Et je suis certain que c'est lui qui a convaincu les gens du musée de mettre cette pièce dans l'exposition.
Comme je disais au début, quand vous avez demandé comment on ressent quand on vit à Montréal, c'est en même temps, on a peut-être de la difficulté des fois, mais en même temps, il y a des gens à Montréal qui nous ont aidés, comme Thierry Maxime, comme Milan, qui s'assoit juste là, et comme les professeurs, comme beaucoup de personnes qui sont très importantes, qui nous ont aidés, qui nous ont supportés quand personne nous supportait, quand tout le monde disait que les affaires qu'on fait sont pas acceptables pour la mode ou que en général c'est pas de la mode. Donc pour nous c'est vraiment important de donner crédit à les gens comme ça qui nous ont vraiment aidés.
L'avantage qu'on a du temps pour discuter comme aujourd'hui, je voulais aborder l'autre aspect technique dans lequel vous êtes très fort, c'est le maquillage que vous possédez très bien. Et c'est toi, Steven, qui était, parce que toi, à l'école privée, c'était impossible de te maquiller. Et toi, très, très jeune, 13-14 ans, tu t'exprimais à travers le maquillage.
Non, j'ai jamais, à 14 ans,
Ah non, je pensais, je me suis trompé dans les dates.
Misinformation. No. En fait, j'ai jamais fait de la maquillage quand j'étais jeune. Mais c'est à 11 ans, à 12 ans, c'est là que j'ai commencé à dessiner. Et en fait, c'est là que j'ai commencé à dessiner de la mode. J'étais vraiment intéressé dans le manga. Et ça, c'était le monde que j'étais vraiment intéressé. Et j'ai commencé à dessiner. Et ensuite, j'ai même des dessins de Anna avant que j'ai rencontré Anna. Donc, c'était des dessins de quelqu'un qui ressemble exactement à Anna dans ces périodes. Et j'étais obsédé par cette look. Et il y avait le maquillage et tout ça. Et c'est quand on avait commencé à faire des projets reliés à Matières Fécales pour nos collections qu'on essayait de travailler avec des artistes de maquillage, mais personne n'était capable d'articuler le précision de qu'est-ce qu'on voulait faire. Donc, c'est là que moi, j'ai décidé de commencer. C'est là que Anna, elle a décidé de commencer. Et sur notre face, sur les mannequins, tout ça. Et c'est vraiment de même que on a développé notre look. Right?
Yeah, we were using stuff from the dollar store. Like, there was no MAC or like Sephora expensive stuff we were using. Like, if you look at the old photos, like it's really stuff from Halloween stores. Like, it was budget friendly, but we were just creating and having fun with it. There was no rules, you know. So we were creating the rules.
I was stealing my mom's makeup also, and she's here, so she knows.
Et vous êtes devenus des experts à force de travailler la technique et de la développer et de le recommencer aussi, j'imagine, plusieurs fois pour arriver à ce niveau et avec des résultats tout à fait fabuleux. J'aimerais savoir aussi, je lisais je crois que c'est le magazine Antidote, où vous avez parlé de votre façon de travailler ensemble et vous aviez dit « We fight a lot, we argue often about where we want to go with our projects and how to get there. We're very different, so it's always pretty chaotic. »
It is. It's like to get to this, it's like 10 arguments, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing to argue. We're fighting for our point of views on fashion and what we think is beautiful, and we kind of come to the agreement once the project is done, really, but yeah.
And that even applies to the decisions we make with our career and music and, you know, everything. I mean, for example, I wanted to move to Paris, like, when we first graduated, and Hannah was like, no, I don't want to go. And so it's been, you know, a back and forth, but to be honest, in the beginning, I was always like, fuck that bitch, I don't need her. I was always like, I can just do my own thing. But then the more time went on, I realized that it's so much better doing it with Hannah. It's so much better doing everything with Hannah because it's so much more fulfilling having somebody you can share everything with. And then I trust her, and she trusts me, and we have a shared vision that is maybe chaotic, and maybe we have our differences like all the time, but at the same time we share the same values, and the values is what ties everything together, and that's what we always kind of focus on, right?
And the duality is so important in creativity, and being able to bounce off ideas on each other is so handy, because Steven might draw something and I'll be like, I'm not going to wear that, so a client's not going to wear that, you know what I mean? So, or that's super uncomfortable, we have to make it in this fabric, or you know what I mean? So this duality is very essential in what we do.
Et vous connaissez assez pour pouvoir accepter aussi le commentaire de l'autre, de vous remettre en question.
Oh, yeah.
Et ça, c'est bien.
Les réactions
bien de
des
faire
fois
avant.
I
sont difficiles.
mean, we can be. We're so open with you. You know, we've known each other for 10 years. You know, we can be really open, and there's no holding back.
Hannah is like full on like hardcore. Like when she doesn't like something, she has a physical reaction.
Okay.
Which I think for me it's fine because I'm used to it. But like obviously we work with other brands and we work with other people, and sometimes like we'll be like at a showroom and she'll like try something on and like physically have a reaction, and I'm like, girl, you better keep it together. But that's just you, and I love that about you. Whereas for me, my delivery sometimes is very like more chill, right?
What? I was gonna say you're so harsh. We are harsh in our own ways, you know. So, but yeah.
Vous avez rencontré des gens formidables. On pourrait passer une journée seulement regarder vos collaborations et les gens avec qui vous avez travaillé, mais on va parler de ceux qui marquent l'esprit. Un des premiers est Jean-Paul Gaultier. Vous avez beaucoup aimé et vous aimez. C'est quelqu'un qui vous aime beaucoup aussi.
He has been such an amazing mentor for us. We worked together in Berlin for some costumes for a show that's still actually being shown right now. And that was like a 2-year process. So, you know, we got to work with him a lot, and just to be in his presence, somebody that has inspired me to be even in fashion and to, you know, to be bold about your ideas, because he's so, you know, we cannot exist without him. You know what I mean? All of us. So just to be in his presence is like you're always in awe. And he's so precise, and you know, imagine he didn't have to hire us. He could have just done it all by himself. There's like zero need, you know. And it's not like we were working under him. He was like, you do your own thing. It'll be Matières Fécales, and I'll just help you get there. So to be a sharing leader is something that has inspired me so much also just from that process.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, especially for what he's done for like queer identities and fearless looks in fashion, you know, he was, you know, putting men in skirts when, you know, it was completely wrong to do that. Obviously today, things are a lot more fluid. There's been so much amazing progress, but at the time in fashion, in art, in culture, it was very, very risky. And he took a lot of risk, and it you know, it paid off, but it didn't pay off for a lot of his community in that era. So for us, we're also grateful to be able to have an exchange with somebody that has opened doors for us to be able to be comfortable. You know, today I can wear my whole outfit, and yeah, people are gonna look, people are gonna stare, but if I did that in that era, you know what I mean, it would be a whole different reaction. So we're very grateful for that.
On va justement, je pense que c'était justement quand vous avez travaillé sur la préparation du spectacle. Oui.
So basically this was our first time working in costume, because basically Jean-Paul Gaultier, he was doing a dance production in Berlin. So it was the first time that we were challenged to translate our vision and our ideas in costumes that has to be worn 600 times a year, basically, and be, you know, danced in. So it's like a lot of work that went into it as for us as designers to be able to be adaptive.
And here you can see, so this is a prototype, and we're, in this session of prototyping, we're looking at how can this mermaid be like levitating from the sky, and how is that going to work, and the aerodynamics behind it. You know, it's not just a garment, it's like there's an acrobat in there who's going to have to flip 2 times a day, you know, around and around and around in the garment. So yeah.
To be honest, we don't want to do costume ever again. Because it was, I mean, I guess the hard part with doing costume, for us at least, is that you can't sell it, and there's not a marketing side to it. And we love to market. We love to have a relationship between clients and all of that. Whereas this is full fantasy, full vision, but at the same time, I guess we missed kind of being able to think about kind of the different layers that goes with creating clothing.
These are the final garments.
So we shot this
that Steven
image.
photographed. So yeah, this scene in the show is all about mermaids. So they're all kind of mutated mermaids, and all the garments are made by hand in Berlin, like couture style. Like, it's incredible to see the craftsmanship in real life. And yeah.
Bravo, fabuleux. Autre personne importante, Rick Owens. Parlez-moi de lui, de la rencontre et des échanges que vous avez avec lui. Et vous continuez à collaborer avec lui, à travailler dans ses défilés.
So after we released his skin shoes, he sent us an email, which is kind of peculiar because I don't know necessarily how he got it, maybe from Instagram or something. But he wrote us an email and he said, anytime you're in Paris, let's have dinner. And Rick only writes in capital letters. So it kind of seems like he's like mad at you or like screaming at you through the email. But for some weird reason, we were actually already in Europe and we were going to Paris the next week. So we went to his house for Halloween and we had dinner with him and Michelle. And basically we got there and he said, show me everything you've done. So I showed him everything. Like, we showed him the music, we showed him the fashion stuff, the creations. And then he said, as we were leaving, let's do something together. I want to help you guys. And we were going to do something with the skin shoes together. We did some music for some of his fashion shows and stuff, but nothing ever really significant until the pandemic, when he reached out and asked if we could do a filter for his Converse campaign that was coming out. And you saw, I guess because of the time difference, you woke up and you saw the email and you quickly drew this pentagram, which is Rick's logo. Mm-hmm. But it was made out of our human bodies with the shoes on, the Converse on.
It was for the filter.
For the filter. So it would be like rotating or something. And Rick came back and was like, wow, that's genius, love it, da-da-da. And then we didn't hear from him for like 6 months. Like, it was radio silence. We were still living in Montreal. And then 6 months later, he sent an email like, you guys are going to do the campaign, you're going to shoot it, you're going to... Well, this is something else. But, but yeah, you're going to shoot the campaign, you're going to photograph it, model in it. You have full creative direction of the Converse campaign. And so, yeah, so that was our first really big, significant project with him. And it was amazing to, I don't know, just to create something for, again, somebody who opened so many doors. Right. You know, for people that really look like us, and we were such big clients of his too.
And you know, Rick is very different than Jean-Paul, because Jean-Paul was very, he was very kind of just like, do your thing. Yeah. I trust you, and just, you know, it could be anything you want.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Converse. But Rick, on the other hand, he's like micromanaging mom. Like, he's OCD. So, you know,
he's like major perfectionist. Like, one hair in the wrong place, redo. Like, you know what I mean?
So he gave us, I mean, this is all our idea. Like, he gave us full vision. Also, it's during the pandemic, so he's not in town. Like, he just gave us the Converse, and they gave us the freedom to shoot. But it was after we shot, when we had to send the assets, that's when it became like another like 3 months of like back and forths of changing things, adapting things, reshooting things. And that was when we learned also kind of like how to navigate making sure your vision is always your priority. And no matter if you're collaborating with people or whatever, having a vision and making sure that is clear and you have an objective, which he had, was something that we really respected. Obviously, I wasn't respecting it when I'm like at 5 a.m. still editing stuff, but at the same time, looking back at it, it was a great experience for us to understand how important it is to have a vision and to articulate it and not compromise no matter what, which is really cool.
And the shoes sold out.
Wow.
So it worked.
Well, there was actually controversy. There was controversy. So people started burning the Converse. And we started getting death threats, actually, because people were saying it was satanic and it was like this whole thing. And it became this really, really, controversial piece, which obviously for Rick Owens fans, they loved it even more because it became like coveted. And he loved it. When it was all happening, he was like really happy about it, which was weird. But at the same time, it was definitely a confrontational project that obviously we always somehow are part of those projects, but that's just what it is.
But him and Michelle have been so kind to us, especially when we moved to Paris. You know, they invited us over for Christmas because they knew that our family wasn't there, and you know, who does that? Like, no one does that.
And you know, outside of fashion, outside of working in a professional relationship, we've learned so much from him as how he treats people, and that's been a big moment for us to also understand how he has a huge platform, but he uses it to help, you know, people who don't have a lot of opportunities, and he's always trying his best to uplift people. So for us, it's also a huge lesson to not gatekeep your power, basically.
Oui, ça se poursuit. En juin dernier, j'avais la chance d'assister à cet incroyable défilé où vous avez participé encore une fois, et on voit que l'histoire se poursuit avec Rick, et ça, c'est formidable. Défilé invraisemblable avec 200 mannequins, et c'était assez renversant, cette image de vous voir tous arriver par groupe de vêtements, et c'était un spectacle fabuleux. Et je suis heureux qu'il y ait cette complicité qui se poursuive aussi, que ça ne s'est pas arrêté après un seul projet, comme ça arrive trop souvent.
Oui, parce que to go back to le défilé, c'était parce que durant les temps qu'on vit présentement politiquement avec Palestine, avec tout ça, tous les trucs qui arrivent dans le monde qui est tellement difficile, pour Rick, c'était vraiment important de montrer unity et être ensemble dans ce moment. C'est pour ça qu'il a utilisé 200 mannequins de différents backgrounds, différents gender expression, couleurs, all of it. Il a pris tout le monde, ils ont mis tous dans le défilé pour montrer qu'ensemble, on est plus fort que séparés. Donc ça, c'était quelque chose aussi pour nous de voir un créateur de mode durant un temps présentement où la mode est tellement commerciale, c'est tellement, les messages sont tellement diluted, et de voir que quelqu'un comme lui, il prend le risque de mettre un message qui est vraiment important, mais aussi vraiment difficile pour que beaucoup de clients peuvent absorber. Mais il a pris le risque, donc pour nous, c'est vraiment inspirant.
Autre grande maison, Balenciaga, et ça aussi, c'est fabuleux que vous ayez travaillé avec Demna, qui demeure encore aujourd'hui tellement important dans sa démarche, dans sa vision et son exigence. Comment ça s'est passé avec lui? Racontez-nous.
This project was so special because, well, I love this collection from Haute Couture. It was amazing. But basically, Balenciaga Haute Couture, they only allow one photo shoot a year in their atelier, like the what is it called? Like the maison or whatever.
The maison.
Yeah, so where, this is, you know, where Cristobal Balenciaga worked in Paris.
And that's where they present their collection.
This is where they present their collection. So to be able to be a part of this photo shoot with you know, we had full access to the whole couture collection, whatever we wanted. It was amazing. And to me, it was to see, you know, how these things are made, you know. Not only is this dress probably $200,000, it took 200,000 hours to make. You know, it's made. There's no machine. It's made by hand, and to see it in person is so inspiring. You know, so we loved it. Specifically, I mean, obviously, I love the pink dress, but one of the dresses, it looks like les plumes, mais c'est pas les vraies plumes. C'est fait à la main with fabric. Like, it's just genius and amazing. So, it was, yeah. I still get butterflies thinking about it.
Là, c'était une autre collection ou la même collection? Vous avez porté plusieurs?
C'est la même collection. Donc, ça, c'était pour la couverture d'une magazine qui s'appelle Antidote Magazine. Ouais. Et c'était un profil sur nous et notre travail, notre identité, tout ça. Donc, c'était aussi notre temps à Paris. Donc, c'était vraiment intéressant d'avoir l'opportunité de travailler avec Balenciaga, mais aussi de montrer notre message dans le magazine. Donc, c'était vraiment une opportunité pour nous que if you rewind to when we first started and, like, nobody wanted to work with us, like zero. Like, it was... That's why we developed our social media account, that's why we had to gain our own fans and our own following and share our message, because no magazine outlet wanted to work with us. So to fast forward to then being like, the doors are open by Balenciaga Couture to only us, and we had access to the freedom to be ourselves, and they didn't tell us to do anything different. They said, do your own look, like be yourself. So it was a moment to understand that, to never give up, to never change yourself, even if people don't understand it in the beginning. Just wait, just keep doing it, and at some point they will. And even if they don't, who cares? Just keep doing it. So that was a really moment for us to understand that, we just have to trust our vision and trust our ideas.
Avant de passer aux questions des étudiants, il faut souligner ce moment assez incroyable de se retrouver au spectacle de Madonna, qui vous demande de faire la première partie, d'être présent et de participer. Ça aussi, ça doit être assez incroyable. Quand on parle de gens qui ont brisé des barrières, elle en fait partie, et encore aujourd'hui.
100%. I mean, to understand how we got this opportunity, it is a bit of a story. The first time Madonna approached us to work with her, it was to be a part of the Vanity Fair? Vanity Fair shoot. And she wanted us to be a part of it. And we said no. I'm not working with you unless it's something substantial. I don't want to be in the background.
It was a photo shoot, and they wanted us to be like, kind of like,
a bit.
Not props, but props. It was about like, it was very like Catholic and all that.
I mean, the shoot is fantastic. If you've seen it, it's like beautiful.
But basically, they wanted us to be part of it, just like extra models in the whole thing. So we said no, because to be honest, we really trust our instinct, and we try to listen to our voice, and we also try to understand our value and understand, in that moment it didn't feel right for us, so we don't want to do it.
So we said no. And then a little while later, with Terry Maxime Loriot, we had lunch with one of her stylists. And that was really lovely. She was so nice. And she really liked what we did. She said, Madonna follows you guys on Instagram. She loves the clothes that you're making. Can we check some stuff out? I could see if it fits her, if she's vibing. So we sent some stuff over. And Madonna was like obsessed. The whole time she was preparing for this celebration concert, she's wearing our cut-up jeans, the whole look, like every day. Like she's not even taking it off almost. So when the show came to, and then because of that, she asked us, could you make some hoodies for my dancers? So we made her some hoodies for the dancers. And because of that, I was like, I know I can get free tickets to go see it. Right? Because I made some stuff for the dancers. So, finally we got some tickets to go see it. And then in the car on the way going to the show, they call and they say, Madonna wants you to go on stage for the voguing part. And so yeah, we were like, okay, like.
And because it was the first Paris show, so she did 4 Paris nights,
right.
And so it was the first one. So there was John Galliano there was Jean-Paul Gaultier, there was all these huge celebrities, Christian Louboutin, like all these people that she's worked with, these huge relationships she's been with. And she really wanted us to be the ones to do this segment, because every city she brings a different kind of personality or someone that she's worked with to be part of it. So she really wanted us to be part of it, and we did it, and we were really excited. And to be honest, it was definitely a pinch me moment, because our moms are also here, and they introduced Madonna to us when we were kids.
Right.
So it was like a very symbolic moment. But then afterwards, we actually had to come back to Montreal for a project. So we just did our thing, went on the flight, and then this was like a week after this for I think it was the last Paris show. And her team basically said that they wanted us to open for the tour, because every show she's been having a different DJ open for the tour. And we changed our flights, and we came immediately, and we actually landed in Paris and then had to DJ 5 hours after. So we got the makeup, we did everything, we didn't practice our set or anything. And we were really actually nervous because we were like, okay, people are not going to understand the music that we're doing because it's like, it's very hardcore.
If you were at Never Conform,
Yeah,
you saw,
it's very intense music that we do, and we were nervous if the audience would like it or understand it. But Madonna, she said that she wanted us to just be ourselves and not basically conform, and basically share our artistry to her fans. So we did it.
And it's 40,000 people.
Oui.
So it was
énorme.
It was a lot. And to be honest, it was like a really scary gig because it's 40,000 people's energy coming towards us DJing, right. And like I would say 90% of people did not enjoy it. Because also Madonna has fans from all types of generations and all types of age groups.
So there's like sorry hung up fans, but then there's like holiday Madonna fans. There's like the early fans, and also French people, which French people are notorious for being very cold and, very, so we definitely went through a lot. We provoked and we did our job.
On a la preuve qu'elle porte vos vêtements, d'ailleurs. C'est bien d'avoir la photo, c'est pas une histoire inventée. On a la preuve. Et avant de passer aux questions, peut-être une dernière sur un beau projet qui s'en vient à Paris, justement, en mars prochain. Dites-nous, parce que c'est important pour vous, ce projet.
Well, actually, at that Madonna concert, backstage in the friends and family kind of backstage room, we met Adrian Joff. Now, Adrian Joff is Ray Kawakubo's husband. Now, if anybody in here is in fashion, obviously Ray Kawakubo is the creative director of Comme des Garçons and kind of just a legend. Like, no need to even introduce. And we've never met Adrian before, but we were introduced to him, and he said, how do you know Madonna? Like, if you're in this backstage area, you must know Madonna somehow. And we said, well, actually, she loves our jeans. She wears our jeans all the time. And he said, that's so interesting. We should have a meeting. And Adrian, obviously, is a CEO of Comme des Garçons, but he also owns Dover Street Market, and Dover Street Market is basically like a Halt Renfrew, but for alternative people, and they're all over the world, like Japan and New York and Miami and just everywhere. And he really helps a lot of young designers through Dover Street Market and Comme des Garçons. So we went to this meeting in January, and basically he actually wanted to come over to our studio, which doesn't exist because I don't have a studio in Paris. So I begged him, please, can we actually just come to your office? And we wanted to show you a PowerPoint. And anyway, so we went with our little PowerPoint.
With some clothes.
With some clothes. I wore the skin shoes. And basically we said, I have nothing. We have nothing. I have no money. I have absolutely no support from anything. But we want to do our first show in Paris Fashion Week. Are you willing to help us? And he seemed really interested, but he ghosted us for 4 months.
Whoa.
Like, no word, not even like, hi, I'm looking into it, nothing, radio silence. So we kind of didn't...
So we were already because to be honest, when we came to Paris 2 years ago, our goal was to obviously be designers and pursue our brand and do our thing. But as soon as we got there, to be honest, the first day we were like, we can't do this without the right support. It's impossible as an emerging designer. You know what I mean? And then we met a lot of people, and a lot of people, they have support from their countries. So it's like a Scottish designer, maybe, she has support from the Scottish whatever, or, whatever. So it's usually young designers from outside of France, they get support. We obviously don't have anything at that time. So we were like, let's see how else we can find a way to be designers without having to, do all of those things that we don't have the support for. So we were like, let's use our visibility. So if you see the past presentation, it was 2 years of us using our visibility, our message, our platform of being ourselves to kind of, network, get to know the Paris scene and for them to get to know us. So it was really 2 years of really just like using the power of our visibility to get to the point where we were able to be introduced by Adrian at the Madonna concert.
So anyways, in April, 4 months after our meeting in January, he wrote and said, let's have a meeting tomorrow with the brand developer. And we were in Venice, so we like quickly came back to Paris for this meeting. And I was kind of expecting like I'm gonna have to prove to him like past sales or like bring him more clothes and show him what we've been working on for the past 4 months. But it was really none of that. He was just like, what colors do you want to do? When do you want to present men's fashion week or women's fashion week? And you know, how many SKUs should we do? And these type of questions. So his mind was made up. He was helping us, and he will do what he can to make our vision come to life. So since April, we've really been working on our debut fashion show, which will be coming out March 2025.
Bravo. C'est formidable. Et c'est la seule chose qu'on va voir aujourd'hui de cette collection. Donc, on est privilégié, on voit quelques couleurs et on ne sait pas lesquelles ils vont choisir. Mais c'est une formidable nouvelle, vraiment. Et on est tellement content pour vous. C'est tellement l'aboutissement d'une volonté et d'un travail inouï que vous faites et que vous continuez toujours à poursuivre cette voie, de ne pas vous conformer. Et ça, bravo, bravo pour ça. Vraiment, vraiment. Et on est très heureux de vous avoir à Montréal. Et donc, il y a peut-être quelques questions que les gens ont, même si on a couvert beaucoup de sujets dans l'heure qui vient de passer. Ne vous gênez pas, profitez de ce moment. Il y a des micros sur les côtés, si jamais, pour qu'on vous entende un peu. Ah, on a quelqu'un que vous connaissez bien qui va venir poser une question.
Hello, Hannah.
Hi.
Is this microphone on?
We can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for being back. Remember last time we saw each other was in Paris with Milan, so it's nice to have you back in Montreal and to hear about all the progress. Thank you for being here. I wanted to highlight something. So in your discussion with Stéphane, you talked about the support you were getting from people here in Montreal, such as Thierry Maxime, Milan, and so on. And I think it's important to highlight how respectful and humble it is for you guys to be back and to perform at the Ligne de Feu event and to be here at La Salle College to highlight the 65th anniversary. So I want to thank you guys for being here. It's really, really fun, and I'm sure the students are really happy too to be able to see you. So
Thank you.
We're so. I mean, we were once here. You know, we were one of you guys. You know, so I believe that. You know, you guys out here can be in this industry for real, like not just, you know, it can happen. So we're here to inspire.
So I have a follow-up question, actually. So you, as you've mentioned, you're doing your own, well, when you started, even now, you're collaborating so much with all these different personalities, these different people, different brands, but you're also doing a lot of your own work, your own makeup, your Photoshop, photos, styling, you know, so on, name it. I feel like you're doing everything in the fashion realm. Can you maybe highlight how important it is, or how important it is for you to be able to be doing all these things for yourself, to be able to do your own pictures, your own art direction, your own styling, but you're also your own sewing? Like, how important is it to be able to do it all, you know?
I mean, for us, the most important thing is authenticity. And if someone else is doing it, it's not authentic anymore. You're diluting it a little bit. So for us, when it's the most authentic thing, is because it's full on 100% Hannah and Steven. Does that make sense? So that's why it's so important. And at the beginning of our career, like nobody could do what we wanted them to do in terms of, you know, making that vision come to life. So it was just easier for us to do it ourselves. But in turn, it actually benefited us the most because it always stayed so true to what we saw in our heads, you know? And also, as a business standpoint, I can make money from multiple things. You saw with the Madonna concert, I'm getting paid to open the show. I'm getting paid because she's wearing my clothes. You know what I mean? So I'm making already money from 2 avenues. Whereas if I was just a designer or just a musician, I'm limiting these money flows. So as a young designer, a young creator, like multidisciplinary situationship is the only way to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we really encourage everyone to not limit yourself. You know what I mean? If you have a story, if you have a vision, if you have something you want to say, find different ways to articulate that in different mediums. You know what I mean? It could be in fashion, it could be in music. Also, it could just be in fashion, but maybe, you know, you find someone else who understands it and you can work with that person. And I think for us, you know, going back to the authenticity element, it's like our conversation between each other is kind of the center of everything we do. So we're always trying to go back to that. And even now, you know, that's over there behind Hannah is Jev, who is now part of our team. And, you know, this is a stranger that, you know, for example, no, but he is a stranger that Comme des Garçons, they brought into our team. But we now are able to delegate and articulate our vision to him, who, you know, he wasn't part of it or anything, but now his responsibility, for example, is to help us with textiles. So now we're trying to understand how do we take that authenticity and kind of help people understand it in a way where we don't have to like hover around them. So it's also still a challenge for us to find a way to do that, because we started for the past 10 years, it's been just me and you. So now the next step for us is how do we expand, and how do we also connect with a team.
And I think just to reiterate what you're saying, because it's a bit complicating, because for the past 10 years, Stephen and I have chosen all of our fabrics ourselves for 10 years. Now when I talk to Jev, I can explain it exactly the methodology behind it, because we've done it for so long. So if you're in your process and you're doing all the aspects of it, from the accounting to the designing to the marketing, when it comes time to actually have a team and explain it to them, you know how to do everything perfectly, you know? So that's coming into really, really handy right now for us. Does that make sense? Yeah. I hope that answers it.
100%. I have another question if I can, Stéphane.
Go for it, go for it.
If you could
Est-ce
give...
qu'on a le droit? C'est $5 de la question. Elle a parlé qu'il fallait que ça rapporte quelque chose. Oui.
I will gladly pay. If you could give one piece of advice to the students about something they should be doing while they're at school, while they're here at La Salle College, like what should they be doing that you maybe haven't had the chance to do that you wish you did? It's a good one.
I mean, to me, the things that were the most important are those business classes.
Yeah.
You cannot survive in this industry if it is, and you know, we're like very creative, artsy people, you know, but the business and marketing classes, those are where you should be really paying attention the most. Because you can create anything, and you can find anyone to buy it if you market it properly.
Yeah.
And look, we're crazy people. Like, people said you're never going to make money. You can't even, don't even try. But we found a way to be able to pay rent and to do what we have to do. But it's because of knowing marketing and understanding. And marketing doesn't have to be a gross word, you know. Every time I say marketing, it seems like, oh my God, like you're manipulating, da da. No, it's like you're just finding a client. You're connecting with someone, you know. I want somebody to feel how I feel when I wear this beautiful thing that I made, you know what I mean? I want them to feel that too. So it's not like a gross word if it comes off as a gross word. But yeah, those classes to me, right?
I think for me, I think practice patience. I think that especially in school, as students, we're also eager to, you know, do stuff and get out there and all that. But it's like, you're a student. Like, you're supposed to learn, absorb, like, just like be in a space where you're like listening and paying attention in that way. And, you know, with time, you'll get to a space where you can actually do the things you want to do. But for us, it was like, I think looking back, we definitely maybe rushed it, I think, because we were like, we started so early. As soon as we graduated, we like fully went into it. And, you know, there was moments where we were like, you know, because obviously our peers are like Central St. Martin students and stuff like that who have their own brand now and all of that. And we're like, you know, they went through a really long process of education that there was a moment where we were like, oh, maybe we also are missing out in that way. So I think it's important to stay patient and all that. Right.
Très bien.
Merci. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ah, une autre question de votre professeur, je crois, en business marketing.
Thank you, Stephen, for the shout out. And thank you for the proud teacher moment. Every time I see you guys, it just makes me want to go one more year. Yeah. I take students to Paris and London every spring, on fashion trips, and every time they come back, they want to live there. Do they want to live there?
Yeah, you need to leave. You need to leave Montreal. Like you need to leave Montreal.
Can you talk a little bit about life in Paris?
It's hard. It's so hard. Like everything it's very expensive. It's super difficult. Also, us not being French, you know, we're Canadian, Anglophone, all these things, it makes it a little bit even more difficult. Paris is extremely bureaucratic. You know, how they run, you know, taxes and all these things is so much more complicating than it is here. But there's opportunities. You don't have to explain yourself in this industry either. Like, it's the first time we've gone somewhere and they understand, oh, you're an artist, you're a designer. Like, you don't have to explain it. Whereas in Canada and Montreal, it's like you're begging. You know, you're begging for work, you're begging for an opportunity. And I think what we were talking about yesterday, actually, is, maybe you can articulate it better than me, but how in Montreal, we were running faster than Montreal. But in Paris, Paris is always running. It's running, it's running, it's running. And you're trying to catch up, and you're working really hard to be at the front of the line. So, to me, it helps with growth in that position.
I think for us specifically, obviously, you know, we enjoy maybe the pain, the struggle, the hardship, in the sense where that's the type of people that we are, and that actually fuels our ideas and our creations. But everybody's different, you know, everybody has different ways of absorbing pressure. And Paris is a pressure cooker. There's so much pressure. London is a pressure cooker. New York, all those big cities are a lot of pressure. But at the same time, you know, we have a lot of friends in Europe, for example. They live in Berlin. They live in other cities that are a lot easier to, you know, have space and time to create and think and absorb. And then they present in Paris. So there's so many different ways of doing it. But specifically for us, I think that, you know, we were born to be in Paris. And I think that we felt that as soon as we got there, like something clicked. But at the same time, it is very difficult. I mean, you know, we definitely have a very hard life that sometimes it feels like, you know, we're not going to make it, or how are we going to survive these obstacles. But like I said, like, we have each other, and I think we have something that, you know, is very resilient because of all the years of hardship that we've experienced, and even before we met each other, and our life experiences. But I do think that the hardship is worth it for the opportunity, at least. I think our advice to any of you who are thinking about maybe leaving or staying or all that, chase the opportunity, wherever that is. You know what I mean? Chase authenticity. If you feel authentic in Montreal and you want to help, you know, grow the industry and push it, and you believe in yourself, like, stay, do it. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has a different path, and that's the beauty of fashion, is that there's no one specific way of getting to where you need to be.
And also, Montreal was so great for us because it was a place where you can explore and you can make use of the fact that it's like cheaper rent than Paris and all these things. So you could develop your craft here and then go out in Paris or London or New York. And so I think we also use that to our benefit for, you know, 8 years of our career for sure.
Merci pour votre sincérité, aussi votre partage. Et j'ai été témoin, j'étais au défilé de l'IFM, l'Institut français de la mode, et ils étaient là pour encourager les jeunes finissants. Donc, ils sont très sincères quand ils vous parlent, ils vous disent qu'ils aiment et qu'il faut croire. Et ils sont là pour les encourager, même si eux sont en plein développement, ce qui est une chose assez rare. Donc, bravo pour ça aussi. Et on se dit, si mes calculs sont bons, dans 2 ans, ce sera les 10 ans de la marque, déjà, de Matières Fécales. Et on fera une grande fête, j'espère, et Milan pourra s'en occuper. On te donne rendez-vous dans 2 ans à Montréal pour une grande fête, pour célébrer tout ça. Et bravo encore et bonne chance à Paris avec le défilé. Il y a une autre question. Ah, d'accord, il y a des gens qui, enfin, se sont réveillés.
Hi. While you guys were talking, you guys were explaining that you graduated in fashion design, but then, you know, through your work and through talking to each other and spending time with each other, you've explained that you've discovered more in your artistry, right? I was thinking, like, did you discover to be artists first, or to be the fashion designer first, and then discover to be artists, like, later on?
I mean, for us, it was always design first. The artist stuff, I think maybe it was just like by proxy because everyone just considered us artists, or they, you know, when people saw us, they were like, oh, you must be in a band, or, you know, so I think yeah, for us, it's always been number one designer. The rest was kind of just because it was in our world, I guess, right?
I think we, even for the beginning, I mean, a lot of people were labeling us as artists, and we were rejecting that because I guess we hold artists as such a like high esteem position, and we were like, you know, we're artists, but we also really care about business, and we also really care about, you know, all these other things, and you know, so it was, I guess, confusing. I think now we do see ourselves as artists, like for sure, but I think the priority for us, the pursuit has always been in design.
Thank you.
Thank
Merci.
you.
Thank you.
Ah, la question a été répondue. Je sais qu'il y a quelqu'un ici de l'autre côté, oui.
Okay, yeah. So, hi, Hannah. Hi, Stephen. My name is Sana. I'm just introducing myself just in case. It's my second year as a fashion design student, and I really, really wanted to ask you guys, how is it for you to manage your time as maybe like a full-time student? Because it is an issue for all of us, actually. We're always questioning that kind of, because like, you know, you have many projects at once and stuff, so you being a big inspiration for most of us, I wanted to ask you this question personally, just to help us out with that.
I mean, I don't know if it's a positive answer, but like it gets worse. You know, for example, like
Yeah,
just to
we
give you an
figured.
idea of my week, like there is no day off, there is no weekend, there is no nothing. Like I'm here now doing this, which is great. Tomorrow I go back to Paris. On Wednesday we have a huge fitting, which will be maybe a 10-hour fitting for our collection. The day after I have rehearsals because on the Friday we're releasing a song. You know,
That's
so
sick.
it's constant. It's just all the time. But if it's something that you love, it doesn't feel so bad.
If you focus on the passion that you have for what you want to do, I feel like it goes a lot easier. But I mean, in terms of time management, you know, we're freelance artists. We've always been doing that. We've been freelance since we started. So we never had an employer, really. We never had somebody that was waiting for us in the morning or anything like that. So how did we find a way to kind of organize our time? I would say it's because of Hannah versus me. And because even at LaSalle College, I would kind of skip school a lot. And so all these like time management stuff, I would only go to the pattern classes and whatever. But now, I mean, you know, we have so many responsibilities. We have so many things we have to do. And if we don't do it, then there's consequences. And to be honest, the consequences are not prices we want to pay. So we do it. And we just go for it, and we try to stay present. I always say that being present is the remedy for anxiety. So the more you're present, the less anxious you are, and the less like you're aware of like, oh my God, I have this to do after, whatever. So if you just stay in the moment, I think it's gonna help you kind of navigate the pressure of school and the pressure of having all these classes. But yeah, try your best. That's all you can really do. Take some time off of yourself. You know what I mean? If one day you really feel like you're burning out, stay at home. Like have a you day, do your thing, and then come back at it with a different point of view. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, sometimes you just have to do it if you really care about it.
Yeah, I had the second question actually. This is like about the fact that you were talking about how marketing is important. I've heard, obviously, from other people and on the internet, that you started off with Depop, right?
Yeah.
So how was it, and how, like, did you maybe think of giving up at some point if like it wasn't selling or anything? Yeah.
Depop was amazing for us. So we immediately in LaSalle College, that's when we started so this is before Instagram became really big. So this is 2014, 2013. So this is when you know, Kim K and all of them, that's when they were like occupying the space of social media, and there wasn't a lot of alternative content out there on Instagram. So that's when we started posting, and that's when we started like doing it at LaSalle College. We were just posting our looks. And that naturally led to having a following, people being interested in our everyday life, into our message. And Depop was a great app because basically it's like Instagram, but you just sell stuff. So, but at the same time, no fashion designer was using that because people were just selling old sneakers and like, you know, vintage stuff. So we were like, we're gonna post our actual designs and sell it on this app, which is basically like Instagram, but, you know, for products. So it worked really well for us. It was amazing. We had a really amazing ride with it. What started happening for us was that we were caught into kind of a cycle of producing things at a very low cost, but not, and high design, but not really making like enough, I guess, for us to feel confident. So that's when we had to kind of like take a break from it. But I think what I'm trying to say is like, there are so many tools out there that are outside of the regular fashion system that you can use and be innovative. And now you go on Depop, there's tons of young designers and there's tons of emerging talent that young people who are, you know, 16, 15, you know, making their small brands with Depop. And, you know, we were part of the collective of people that started that. And part of it, I think, is, you know, there's so many innovative spaces you can do. There's so much innovation out there, right?
Another
Merci.
one, sorry.
Il y a peut-être quelques d'autres questions. Je suis désolé de vous couper. C'est que je voudrais donner la chance s'il y a d'autres personnes. Oui, je vois une file de l'autre côté. On va à vous. Oui, vous pouvez poser votre question, s'il vous plaît.
Hi, I'm Monzoto. Just also introducing myself for future cases. But honestly, for me right now, because of like school is stressful and all, I'm kind of struggling within still remembering and focusing on my vision. And I also, one of the things that I kind of agree with my old concepts teacher is that I'm scared and I kind of hold myself back. So like, what advice would you guys would give me? Because you also said that within each other you found the courage to break the boundary and finally be yourselves. And I was just wondering the process of that.
What are you scared of?
I don't know. But I also like.
I mean, to break what you're afraid of, you can't, like, you have to risk something, you know? Like, for example, I was scared to be myself, so I had to risk my safety to be able to do this every day and whatever. So I was risking something. Same for you, you know? You were risking your very elaborate and chaotic ideas. You were risking it because there's a fear of, I don't know, it could be whatever. So I think you have to figure out maybe what is you're afraid of, because then you can kind of like tackle that.
And you know, this is the advice that we give, you know, because also with our social media platform, we get a lot of young kids from, you know, places like Brazil, you know, all over the world in countries that are not very accepting. And, you know, a lot of times they're asking us for advice on how to be themselves. And what we always say is just take it one step at a time. That's really how we did it. You know, we shaved the eyebrow first, then the hair, then added the makeup, then the heels, then the this, then the that. It wasn't like we just woke up and like took it all out and just did it. So how I would say is like with your fears, tackle it one step at a time. So maybe if it's something that, you know, you're like super scared of, it's like maybe just take one element of it and try to just, I don't know.
Ironically, while you guys were talking about your struggles, I kind of related to you guys. Because with Steven, I'm kind of cocky as well. Like, if you know me, I'm pretty outgoing. Stop laughing. I'm pretty outgoing and social, but with like Hannah, I'm super shy once you get to know me. So I feel like I kind of relate to her more towards like I'm holding myself back. So I don't know, maybe in a few years I'm also going to, like you guys, like shave brows, like heels, all of that.
Go for it. It's a cult.
Thank you. Merci. Je crois, une dernière. Last question.
I have a bit of a question because I graduated LaSalle. And I'm kind of stuck in this thing where I'm like working nonstop. Like I go to sleep really late because I'm producing so much for my own brand, but also I have a 9-to-5 and then I have another like job, and then I have like finding myself needing something to do but I relate a lot to you because you said you came from poverty, but my family didn't come directly from that, but my parents immigrated here, and so my parents never supported me with anything. My money has always been me, and I kind of want like this advice on like what to do because I'm just paying for everything. Like it just feels like there's not a moment where I can take for myself to just create and just like I don't know. I feel like money.
Totally. I mean, for me, you know, my mom's here right now, and like she knows that in the end, you know, you know, I didn't really have support. With LaSalle College, I had to take a loan out and the whole shenanigans. But with that being said, I think for me, how I focused on it was finding ways to create on a low budget. So, you know, finding beauty in things that are very accessible, like Q-tips or whatever, you know, like whatever's laying around in my home at that time, I was trying to make something out of it. So I think there's always kind of the opportunity to create without, you know, a lot of resources.
Right? Yeah, I mean, we made a whole collection out of towels at some point. So, you know.
Yeah, Milan.
Milan veut une question.
I just want to remind you
It's going to be
about
the
like, all
last.
the Dollarama. Like maybe you can tell them
Yeah.
like because like what happened is that you needed to make money to survive, like in New York, and you actually like needed to make product that sells. Otherwise, you can't actually travel, survive, pay your hotels, things like that. Maybe you can tell them that like.
Yeah, this is built off of $0.
It was crazy. Like I don't know if you want to go like in that direction, but
basically when we moved to New York, this was like 2015, and we just left and we went to New York, and we were living in a drag queen's closet on top of a club. And basically, and it was because the club owner saw us the first night we went, and he said that he wants to take care of us and help us.
He said, "Do you have somewhere to go?" And we said, "No."
Yeah.
That's why I said.
Yeah, and then he said you could stay there. And basically, every night after the club events, we would go downstairs and take materials that was left behind, and basically we would make stuff and we would sell it back to the community and the people that were working at the club.
So we'd made handbags out of wigs that were found on the floor of the club, or at some point we found a yoga mat.
These amazing umbrella dresses.
Yeah, when it rained was our favorite time in New York because we would go and collect all the broken umbrellas. We'd take it apart and we'd make these halter dresses out of it.
With
so
like
so we were making just stuff out of really
but
$0.
You know, they bought it and they were paying a lot of money because it wasn't because of the actual material, it was because of the vision that we had and the story we were trying to tell with these pieces, and that resonated with them. So it just goes to show that, you know, you know, with us specifically, we had nothing in the beginning, but we had our vision, and that vision actually is a lot more valuable than really expensive fabric or really, you know, all these things that. And we sacrificed, you know, we ate tuna and we just didn't do anything, and I mean, cans of tuna. And we, every single day was a risk. And even, to be honest, living in Paris, sometimes it's a risk even now. It still hasn't gone to this point where we're totally like, you know, ready to retire. But at the same time, it's, you know, to be honest, having confinements, having limits is actually where, you know, you can create some of the best ideas. So it's, you know, some of the pieces that, you know, are you know, coveted pieces from our work are the things that we made with nothing.
Mm-hmm. Or in a time where we were struggling so much, it's like, oh my God, this, whatever it was, hoodie or shirt or whatever, I'm relying so much on it. I have to use every single brain cell to make sure that this is going to sell, and not just one, but hundreds of them. So, but I wouldn't, you know, maybe only because I was in that situation did we come up with that. Does that make sense? So see what you're going through as a benefit, and say, because I'm in that situation, I'm going to come up with the best whatever, because it's just going to be the best product ever to get you out of that situation. And I guarantee you it will.
And ask for help, honestly. I mean, to be honest, we didn't really do that a lot, like, because we were, I guess, ashamed to be in a position of vulnerability that we weren't asking for help a lot. But my biggest advice now is ask for help. Like, you have friends, you have people, social media, do stuff. A lot of our trans friends, example, they have GoFundMes because to help them with their transitions. Like, they need that GoFundMe. They have no other way to pay for their transition because their families rejected them. They don't have the government isn't helping them, but their friends, their community is helping them. And you'd be surprised by how much people want to help others.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If they might stay a few minutes more, but we did, they're so generous. We also did, I must mention that tonight because many people don't know that we have at college, La Salle College, a podcast called Inspira with students. And we did a great podcast a few days ago that's going to come out in September. And we did talk about other things than what we did tonight, so it might be great for you to listen. Ce serait bien. C'est un balado bilingue qu'on fait depuis 2 ans avec le Collège La Salle et les étudiants qui s'appelle Inspira. Et je vous suggère d'aller voir. Donc, il y a une autre personne debout. C'est drôle parce que d'habitude, il n'y a jamais de questions d'étudiants. Et là, ce soir, it's delirious. It's great, though. But on va devoir couper peut-être parce que vous savez, les techniciens, ça coûte très cher. Ils vont être très choqués de m'entendre dire ça, mais on parlait d'argent et de marketing. On va arrêter là, malheureusement, mais merci 1000 fois. Encore, très, très généreux. Très généreux.